Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tiger Minor League Report Recap Podcast. It's been a while with the minor leagues being kind of the All Star break and everything. Wanted to make sure we had enough content to go around, and we do have plenty to get to this evening. I am Rogelio. Alongside me is Chris Brown and David, and we just wanted to thank everybody who we had a big accomplishment today on Twitter. Again, this is something that I know we. Would you stop moving the camera, dude? I was just seeing in the corner of my eye,
it's like there's this light right here.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know.
Suddenly, where's the weight room around here? But no, so I wanted to thank everybody who follows us on Twitter. We hit 10,000 followers. We are now and I take this with pride, whether the Tigers like it or not. I don't care, but we are just 3,000 followers behind the Tiger Minor League Development official account. So they have 10,000 followers for a completely organic thing. I will take pride in that all day long. So thank you. Thank you to James Chipman, Jake Bowes, King Carter, Adam. There's a bunch of people. And, what was the gentleman that wrote for us out of Ohio, Chris? We haven't heard from him in a long time. That really helped.
Man. Yeah, I forgot about that dude. Oh, geez. That makes me feel bad.
Who's that dude?
Yeah. I remember. Boy, I forgot his name.
He got me a really good book, too, and he's I feel bad. I feel so bad. I can't remember his name at the top of my head right now, but...
he kind of went, he was from Columbus, right? And he kind of just went off the grid. We also had, remember Alex Drain wrote something for us, just one article at the old website.
Yeah.
Before moving on to IMGO blog.
That's right. Alex Drain, good people. I forgot about that. Yeah. So this site has an illustrious alumni, but we have to get cracking in some articles, and we will be doing that. We're going to be right after the All-Star break. We'll finally reveal our top 25
after the trade deadline. You mean?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Take two. Yeah. The trade deadline. Yeah. And for those out there, I want to, this trade line is going to be funky. It's going to be very funky. And I say that because either it's going to be a whole lot of activity or a whole lot of nothing. Right now, it's super quiet, but I feel this year there's going to be some activity. It's all going to happen all at once. I mean, I think the Mariners getting Luis Castillo is huge because it was a foregone conclusion that, the Yankees are going to get Luis Castillo, and it did not happen that way. And so Seattle got, I don't know why prospect fans out there were like, they gave up prospects. Like, well, what do you want? You want to win or you want to keep them all? Do what you have to do and make that happen. But I just find it funny because they're like, well, it sets up Cincinnati because Cincinnati looks really good now. They have one of the best farm systems, and they get a lot of cheap talent because that's what Cincinnati wants to do. But no, I'm hoping that I just feel like with everything that's going on right now, I think it should be a big time trade deadline. But before we get to that, I did want to mention, so one of the things I've been working on the side for our top 25 is player profiles. So every player is going to get something like this. So when you go to, this is just an example, but you'll get the power, hit, run, throw, and defensive tool. You'll get a nice little picture where they are in our top 25, And yeah, there's going to be a written article with it. Like I said, we're in the process of finishing it up. It's going to take me a couple days, but I just started this. I gave it to Chris. Chris gives it a thumbs up. David gave it the thumbs up. So there's going to be a lot more information on it, but just pretty, like I said, I think it's pretty cool. It just gives you the right information. And then each thing will have a tool, will have a little description on it. So that is a work in progress. But gentlemen, how are you guys doing on this last day of July?
All good here. Nice weekend. Went and saw a movie out by the pool for most of the afternoon. So can't complain about that.
David, how was your weekend?
Weekend was good. I could hardly watch the Tigers game because I don't have Peacock or Apple TV Plus, so that was a bit of a bummer. But other than that, I spent most of the weekend with the girlfriend, and had a fun time.
Good stuff. Yeah, and there's over here I spent a lot of time working on various web projects, including the one I just mentioned before, and working on finally finishing up the Alavila project that I've been working on for a couple days now. And yeah, it's been a good weekend. But it was been a good weekend. Who's had a good weekend is the Tiger Minor League system, because we got to see Lakeland. We got to see all 4 the big teams on television, which is the unfortunate thing about Lakeland, though. This is the last time they'll be on TV for the rest of the 2022 season. And it's unfortunate because there's some really good highlights we'll get to in a second. Christian Santana's been coming on as of late, Manuel Sequeira, and we got some good pitching performances as well out of the bullpen. And we'll start with Toledo, which has a couple of familiar names. A lot has changed, actually, in the last few weeks in Toledo. Toledo got some pitching, and they got in the form of some veterans, and one being Daniel Norris. Daniel Norris is back in the organization. He was signed to a minor league deal. And Chichi Gonzalez, who has pitched with the Rockies, who's pitched for the Twins, I think the Rangers, maybe. I can't remember the other team. I feel like I'm missing a team. He's there. And the Tigers needed some minor league depth signing. So, David, I'll start with you in terms of Daniel Norris. How stoked are you to see him back in the organization?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty stoked. I mean, this is the first thing that came to mind with this is you always look at moments like this to think like, oh, we won the trade for him, because like I don't know if you guys remember like circa 2016 when the Cubs traded for Chapman, and yeah, the Cubs traded away Torres for Chapman, but then the next year Chapman just went back to the Yankees, so the Cubs essentially just lost everything, and we're like, today I'm sitting here like, yes, we officially fleeced the Brewers. Well,
the Cubs did get the World Series, although I don't know how much Chapman really helped there at the end. But yeah, for Tigers fans, it's kind of like way back in the day, they traded Ramon Santiago to Seattle for Carlos Guillen. And then I think within the next 2 years, Santiago was back with the Tigers. So
also,
yeah.
Sorry. I was going to say also Omar Infante as well. It's similar story, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they had to trade some stuff away to get him back, because they traded Infante originally to the Cubs for like Jock Jones, I want to say.
I thought it was the Braves originally.
He ended up on the Braves. I thought they traded him to the Cubs, but and then eventually was on the Marlins and came back in the Jacob Turner trade. But yeah, no, it's I don't know. It didn't work out great for the Brewers, and then he signed with the Cubs, and he was not pitching well for them. And I'm not expecting much from Daniel Norris. I expected a lot from Daniel Norris when they first acquired him back in 2016. Was it 2015? And one of these days we'll go back and find the tape of Rogelio saying he thinks Matthew Boyd will be better. But yeah. But Daniel Norris, he's been through a lot. And I think they said they're going to work him as a starter, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So, hey, what the hell? They need somebody to eat innings. Things have gone completely off the rails this year, as usual. So, Daniel Norris back for his second tour duty with the Tigers.
Yeah, and what's interesting was Friday, Brian Garcia started. Was it Thursday? It was Friday's game. Came out throwing 96, had a slider, and they've been stretching him out as a slider down stretch him out as a starter in Toledo, and that's how bad the Tigers' injuries have been. And we were going to see Matt Manning, by the way, who pitched a rehab start, 5 2/3 innings, 6 strikeouts and 2 walks. He'll be pitching Tuesday, the night game against the Twins. So looks like Matt Manning's back in the rotation. Thankfully, hopefully there's no more surgeries or anything of that nature. Bo Brisky pitched rehab today, 3 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, a pair of strikeouts, and a lot of home run. And Brisky was throwing 95, 96, which is good to see. And he was able to generate some swings and misses. But yeah, in terms of the rotation right now across both levels, we'll get to Erie in a little while. Erie's been the most stable one. Toledo has been just a giant, just a Cupid shuffle of maybe that's a bad analogy, but whatever, it works. So, but yeah, the Toledo and the Pirates affiliate, the Indianapolis Indians, tied the series at 3-3. Both scored the same amount of runs, 26 runs. And as far as the offense goes, well, Spencer Torkelson, who's been struggling in Toledo since it got sent down, extra facts, Had a home run in game 3, had a double and a 2-hit game in game 5, which was good to see. And Chris, I don't know, I'll get to you, David, too, in a second with this question, but the Spencer Torkelson going out in Toledo for self-confidence tour, do you believe in that, or it was just kind of threw him off? The dog?
That's Charlie, yeah. He
okay.
knows it's podcast time, so.
Charlie cracks me up.
All right, here's the culprit.
It's a monkey.
He's obsessed with birds. I thought that they said they had a plan basically for Torkelson, which I assumed was like, hey, we're going to work with him on his swing. Something's not working, and absolutely nothing has changed in his swing so far. So I don't know. Maybe something has. I haven't seen anything change. So yeah, I haven't. I don't know. I don't know if they're just going to let him keep failing with his current swing, the swing that he's had all his life that always worked for him. I imagine how that would be hard to deal with. Suddenly it's not working anymore, but I think they're going to have to make a change at some point, or else it's not going to work at all.
And yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like you mentioned that, Chris. It's like you look at all the swings that Torkelson's been taking in the ones he was taking in the big leagues and the ones that he's taking up in Toledo right now. It's like you even mentioned it. I remember you mentioned it many podcasts ago that like you were saying like he really doesn't adjust on any pitches with his swing. It looks like it's just the carbon copy, the same follow through every time. And that's the one thing I even noticed in watching some of his video in Toledo. It's like you can easily saw him off pretty good with pitches inside. It's like he has such like a beefy, like he just hacks at the ball type of swing where like he'll hit the ball 500 feet if it's on the outside. But like I'm surprised he doesn't have like a ton of broken bats at this point. But yeah, that's like as soon as he can learn to like pull his hands in a lot better, then yeah, that could be something as well. But in my opinion with it, it's like, yeah, a mental reset, because like, I'm sure you guys remember on opening day, he was like, there was like the handing over of the glove in spring training with Miggy, and, getting to start opening day with the Tigers and watching it all come crashing down. Then yeah, it could also be a self-confidence thing, but I feel like it's a mixture of adjusting mechanics and a mental reset.
Yeah, and the thing is that the mental reset, like I thought, based off what I saw in Toronto, because he bailed out Javi Baez throughout the season, you could tell it was kind of missed. Although I think Cody Clemens did a really good job playing first, and so did Harold Castro. But you could tell defensively where his presence was missed for the Tigers. Kerry Carpenter, by the way, with the home run in game 1, he had a double in game 5 of the 6-game series, and again, another guy who's been coming on lately is Derek Hill, who continues to, again, I think Derek Hill ultimately, I'm not sure if he'll get another shot in Detroit, but I think there is enough out there to be a fourth outfielder type there. And whether Detroit gets him a shot or not, we shall see. But him and Jamie Westbrook both have been hitting pretty well for the Mud Hens. And Daz Cameron, too. I know Daz Cameron had a pretty decent week as well, but overall, the outfield situation right now has been brutal. Let's be clear, because since Akil Badu's been up, he's 2 for 26 or something to that effect. And Robbie Grossman had an error today, but again, this could be the last. I mean, in terms of platoon wise, he's not hitting well against right-handers. He's better against lefties. And there's no really relief in. I mean, at some point, the question is, when do you bring Kerry Carpenter up? Because at this point, he's walking better. He's been hitting. He's been showing more patience at the plate. And you're 19 games under 500. When do you give him a shot? David, do you think his time is coming soon?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like you mentioned, Raj. It's like in a system where the fans are desperate to just hear some shred of good news, like we'll take anything. It's like, yeah, I do. I absolutely do. I do think his time is coming. It's like, I said it myself. It's like, we called him up to AAA. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. It's like, he still had a lot to prove. Like, we all knew the strikeout numbers were a little bit concerning, but like, clearly he's put some work in. He's put quite a bit of work in to be a better player. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, I don't know. I don't know if September call-ups are still a thing with the expanded rosters, but like, yeah, it's like I could definitely see him getting a shot with like a September call-up type of deal. But yeah, I'm kind of in like the middle between don't rock the boat and yeah, I can definitely see him as a September call-up because like imagine if we would call him up tomorrow after having like quite a substantial hot streak with Toledo, and then he comes up to the Tigers and just flatlines. It's like that'd be rough for his self-confidence as well. So, like I said, I'm right in the middle of give him a shot in September and don't rock the boat just yet.
Yeah, I'm at the point where like who the hell cares about the boat? Like the boat's been sunk since like May, so yeah, it's almost like I get it. Like there's not really room for him, but it in part of you wants to just say like yeah, send these guys all up, let them hit, and whoever does gets the job. But there's only so many at bats to go around, and not gonna if they can get rid of Grossman now, whether they trade him for cash or just cut him. That'll open up one spot. But yeah, like Derek Hill's been hot. Daz Cameron, they've all come up. At some point, you might just want to see this kid, see what he can do. And I mean, it was kind of funny. One of the what was the game? I think it was Thursday. It was like this weird baseball karma thing. The Mud Hens were up, and somebody on the Indianapolis team hits a fly ball to left field, just a can of corn, but Carpenter loses it in the sky. He doesn't know what it is. It lands behind him. I think that scored put them up by 2 runs. And then in the 9th inning, 2 outs. Torkelson, I think, walked. 2 outs. Gary Carpenter hits a can of corn to Indianapolis' left fielder, and he can't get to it. It's Travis Swigert. He runs and drops it. And so it's like the exact same thing happens there. And then, and that's when Brendan Davis had the 2-run walk-off. So.
Yes, the boat is sinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mitch and YouTube. Agree there.
I want to preface that the boat as a metaphor in my spiel that I just gave was Kerry Carpenter's mental state as a baseball player, not the Tigers as an organization.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's I always wonder about that, like how much of it. I don't think anybody's going to be too like frustrated if they come up to the big leagues and struggle a little bit, but. You may be right. Like if he comes up and doesn't do anything for like 6 weeks, it might bother him. But I would think that would only benefit the Tigers to find out now, and then bring him to spring training next year. They'll probably have to add him to the 40-man anyway. So bring him up now, bring him to spring training, see if he can win a job. If not, you got some depth in AAA.
Yeah, it's I found a perfect metaphor to put in perspective. I honestly, I think this is perfect for the Tiger season because I think, good evening, Chris, by the way, in our YouTube chat there. This is the way that we see the season right now.
Oh, the cardboard boat.
The cardboard boat. Not much foundation there. And it's just done.
Is that Mickey Mouse here? What's going on there?
I have no idea. There's commentary. Somebody keeps saying, "Oh no!" So yeah. I had to do it. I couldn't help myself. It's the paper boat.
All the people paddling the ship that you need. All that matters is what the ship's made out of.
Yeah.
You need to have some caulk there in the seams, or else that thing's going down.
Yeah.
I remember I had a buddy who built a boat. Like spent a whole summer. We had a man-made pond in our neighborhood. He spent a whole summer building a boat. He finally put it out there, and the thing sank in like 5 minutes.
Ooh.
It was like, yeah, well, that's a tough break for you. Yeah. You need to get the tugboat out there.
Man, I've always will not get too sidetracked, but I can have a premise of, for example, having this Flex It Seal guy who built a boat, I want to do it just to see if it's possible. Because the guy's he's so sure about it. He's like this smile, and he's just like, put it on there, and like just kind of
like a fan boat.
Yeah, like he splits a boat in half, and then he puts the rest of it in Flex Seal.
Yeah, I tried using Flex Seal on my gutter, and it didn't work. So I'm not really. Maybe that's operator error, but I'm not trusting that thing to float a boat across the Gulf of Mexico or whatever.
Yeah.
To be fair, sorry to cut you guys off, but to be fair, his boat was built out of a screen door. And
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
so it ran just fine. He's a trooper.
So
we move on to Erie, and the Seawolves have been on a tear. They won the series against Reading. They got a winning streak snapped today, but everything's been clicking for them all in terms of offense and pitching, except for one pitcher we'll get to in a second. But Austin Bergner, that you can find that's his start on our YouTube page. So if you go to the Tiger Minor League recaps, we have that start from yesterday. Did really well. He pitched in terms 5 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, and 1 home run allowed. Chance Kirby, again, we have now referenced Chance Kirby more than we ever have in the history of this podcast or the history of us doing the Tiger Minor Report. 5 innings, 2 runs, 1 earned, a couple strikeouts, and Wilmer Flores, Chris, I know you were talking about him. He looked a little fatigued this week. 3 innings, 1 run, 1 strikeout, and a walk. And it could be just a matter of fatigue at this point, right? Because I think this is the most innings he's pitched, correct?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he threw about 60 last year, maybe fewer than that. I don't know the exact number, but yeah, he's not nearly as electric looking as he was early in the year. The fastball doesn't seem to have that hop on it. The breaking balls aren't as sharp. He just looks like a guy who's a little bit tired. And what you kind of hope for is that he gets that second win down the stretch. But and even it's interesting though, because his tired doesn't necessarily result in a lot of bad numbers. He's been getting hit hard, but it's mostly been staying in the park, and his defense has been helping him out. I think his ERA is still fine. It's just he doesn't look like the same pitcher he looked like in May. But that's all part of the process, right? That's why they've been kind of slow playing these guys, is to get them the innings built up and get used to pitching every 5-6 days. And they don't really they'll worry about the amount of innings every 5-6 days later. They just want them to get used to pitching on a regular schedule. So I don't know, we'll see what he does in August, and I don't know how many games they have in September. Maybe 1 series.
I mean, I think like maybe 2 series. I think they play till the 12th. I think I want to say something like that effect.
Right, so. Yeah, we'll see what he does over the remaining 5-6 starts.
Yeah, and again, I'm not really worried about. He's had a good season. I mean, him and Dillon Dingler went to the Futures All-Star game, and we'll get to Dingler in a second because I think he's been rejuvenalized a little bit from that whole experience. And as far as another pitching performance goes, and I'm glad you mentioned this, David, in the outline, because he's a guy who's infuriating sometimes, and that would be Gerson Moreno. He will look really good, and then he'll walk a bunch of guys. And so it's like the consistency's not there. And I think he's been in the system now for, I think, almost a decade, I think. I'm not kidding. Like, he's been around just as long as Gregory Soto has been. And it's either sink or swim, but Moreno is a frustrating pitcher to watch.
He's got a big league arm. It's like a 95, 96 mile an hour fastball. Every now and then he'll snap off a good breaking ball, but just no consistency. It's a real bummer.
Yeah, didn't Gerson Moreno, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't him or another pitching prospect they got busted for something, didn't he? It was a while ago, but I feel like Gerson Moreno
for throwing a baseball. There was a bench clearing ball, and he threw a baseball at somebody, on the field during the fight. But yeah, that would have been like 2016.
Wasn't that at West Michigan too?
Yeah, Michigan, right? He was on the same West Michigan pitching staff at the very end of the season up there with Joe Jimenez. That's how long ago he was down there. And he was on the 40-man at one point, but then got hurt. It was one of those Franklin and Perez situations where they had to cut him to get him off the 40-man, and then they re-signed him. But yeah, it's same arm basically he's always had, same command issues. And there's a kid down in Lakeland that I didn't really know anything about until I watched him pitch, and he's probably gonna. I don't know if they'll even make it to AA, but it's a fascinating arm. So we can talk about him in a little bit.
Who's that dude?
Exactly.
Oh, man. But Dillon Dingler has had quite a week, and we've known for his defensive prowess. The bat, people, again, it's been kind of a the bat's been hit and miss. But for the month of July, I would say probably since probably the 14th. This is Dillon's numbers. He has batting .280 with 3 home runs, and he's driven in 4. But it's all because it's either Myers is clearing the bases or not. So he's where he at. It definitely is where he's in the order. But this weekend alone, the series against Reading, he had 2 of his 3 home runs. So if we want to get more specific, so against Reading this week, he batted .389 with 3 home runs, and he was just in terms of double. He had a double. He went 7 for 21 in the series, and Reading's got some decent prospects. It's not like Binghamton or anything like that, but either way, it was good to see, especially with the guy coming down West Michigan, Josh Crouch, who kind of breathing down his neck a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. David, what'd you get your impressions of Dillon Dingler this week?
Yeah, it's always nice. It's always nice to see when it clicks with a hitter, and like we've been talking about it all season so far that like Dillon Dingler's been such a patchy hitter. It's like we always knew he had the athleticism to figure it out, and it was just a matter of putting it together. It's like, and I always touched on like it's always a rough road for catchers, especially developing your offensive tool, because generally coaches just want you to like be sure to get down and block the ball or work on your glove to hand drills and such. It's like depending on the catcher, offense is usually, I'm not going to say put on the back burner per se, but it's like defense is kind of up there with offense. But it's nice to see that like he's starting to get into a groove now. And it's like I think it was like game 6, like 2 or 6. He went hitless. Or I don't think he had a hit in one of the games in the series, but like it was nice to see him bounce back from that and put up solid numbers this week. It was.
Well, you, Chris, anything you noticed about Dingler?
Yeah, it's definitely nice to see, because what happened last year, it felt like he was a guy who just got incredibly tired and worn down in the second half of the season. And this, seeing him as a catcher out there, most every day, having the best month of the season. I think it's an OPS over 900 in July. With he's cut down his strikeout rate a little bit. He's always going to strike out probably like 25%. But if he can keep it under 30%, which is where it was for most of the year, he's onto something, and he's walking more. The walk rate's almost up to 10%. He's hitting for power. That's going to work. If you can do that, hit for power, walk 10%, even if you're hitting 230, 220, that'll work in the big leagues if you're a plus defensive catcher, which he has a chance to be. I'm sure the finer points of that still need to be worked on, but the athleticism is there. And I think for the most part, I think he calls a good game too. Like, the kind of the hardest stuff to learn about catching, dealing with pitchers, knowing how to set up hitters. I think he does a good job with that. So, yeah, I mean, he's a guy who could be in for a promotion.
Yeah, Darko did talk about him possibly getting up to Toledo at some point too, and it wouldn't surprise me. Right now, we have. What were you gonna say, Chris?
It's always like we said with Kerry Carpenter. We kept saying in the first half, right? Like we thought they were keeping Carpenter in Erie because they were trying to make a playoff run, and so we may see that again. I think Erie right now is a game out of first place, something like that, in the second half. So you never know if they try to keep things together, but also, the entire roster could fall apart based on injuries and promotions. So they might just boot them to Toledo, as it were. But it wouldn't shock me if they try to keep the team together in some capacity and make another run at the playoffs.
Yeah, there's. Oh, go ahead, David.
No, yeah, sorry. The one thing I'm going to say, and my opinion on it, as I'm going to say that Dingler, I think Dingler would be really good just staying in Double-A the rest of the year, because like it's, in my opinion, the one thing about catchers is like they spent the preseason pretty much learning all your pitchers, right? You have to learn their pitch repertoire. You have to know everything about all the staff, and especially if you have guys coming up from lower levels, it's like it would. I think it'd be pretty tough for Dillon mentally as well. It's like going to AAA, not like oh my God, all of a sudden I have to learn 12, 13 new pitchers. It's like their tendencies and where they like in the zone and stuff like that. But like, yeah, it's like he seems like a pretty intellectual guy. It's like I like how he handles the pitching staff. He has really good hands, especially as a catcher. It's like watching the Burner start. You watch that, like he's pulling a lot of balls back in the zone. It's like he knows these pitchers pretty well, and he has like you can tell that he has pretty soft hands working with some of these starters. It's like you like to see that out of a catcher. It's like I think it's again I'm gonna say best not to rock the boat, especially with a catcher calling him up midseason because you just don't want to put that strain on him.
Not to mention, too, Erie was really close in the first half of the season to get to the playoffs, and Erie hasn't been there in quite some time. So I think Seawolves fans would appreciate if he stuck around. And for development purposes, too, you have to, for the pitching, what you mentioned, David and Chris, both that he knows how to call a game, and the pitchers have a good rapport with him. So they don't really want that kind of familiarity to stick with you, and instead of calling up somebody that it may not happen. But Reese Olson, by the way, though, who's been pretty good all season, but in July, he's ran into some issues. Another bad start today. He pitched in 2 games this week. He's got a 7.02 ERA in the month of July. And a lot of the fans it was funny, a lot of the fans wanted him to call him up. Not so much. They're pretty quiet right now. 3 2/3 innings, 3 runs, 2 strikeouts, and 2 walks. He allowed 7 hits. And I'm not sure whether it's fatigue or whatever the case is. It could be a couple things. But, David, I'll start with you. If there's anything that you can add your insight on about that.
Yeah, I have a theory because watching some of Wilson's videos with some of the starts that he had this year, there's the one thing I really noticed. It's like, of course, I noticed it in his other starts earlier in the year, but like, you know, he was doing good earlier in the year, so I didn't really have any reason to think any otherwise. But like, you watch him in the windup in the stretch, and it's like it looks like his plant foot when he's coming off the mound. It looks like it's only like 3 feet in front of his launch foot. It's like I honestly don't think like mechanics wise that he's utilizing like his whole frame when he's throwing, because like yeah, it's like when you're plant foot, when it's like right there. Like right where if you can draw a line between your plant foot and your head, it's like you're not getting any power. It doesn't really matter how much power you have in your hips. It's like that's just the theory I have. It's like sure, some of his starts like his breaking balls are there, sometimes his fastballs are there, but yeah, it's like honestly it could just be a lower body thing.
Chris, what about you?
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating because like all his other numbers looked good, right? The strikeouts are good. The walks are relatively low. He's just given up a ton of hits and a ton of home runs lately. And it feels almost like a Matthew Boyd situation. And I do think it is largely he is not commanding the ball at all. He's still throwing enough strikes in general that he can get these strikeouts. But you see him, I mean, they've been doing low pitch count, low inning counts on guys all year, but he just racks up these kind of super high pitch counts because it's always, the ball's always around the edge of the strike zone, but never quite where he needs it to be. And then when it is in the zone, it gets smacked. So I don't know. And I've always been concerned about his mechanics. A little bit like I've never focused so much on the legs like David did. But it was always kind of, I used to call it like a trebuchet delivery. Like it was just like forcefully dropping his front side so his other side would come back over. And I don't know if he will ever be able to consistently command the ball with those mechanics for at least for multiple innings.
And I noticed here that I think it's something to do with the fact that in his release point, it just seems like it's kind of the head whack could be the case here. Maybe there's a significant difference, but I think it has a lot to do with his delivery within what David said about his legs is absolutely, it's a good observation, but I think just maybe perhaps he's opening up at the end a little bit too early. I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm amateur hour over here with that when it comes to that stuff, but I'm learning all the time.
Four above average pitches. I think that the changeup and slider are even plus pitches at times. There's a lot to work with there. It's just, it's to me, it's like a classic example of control over command. Well, that wasn't very good control right there.
Ironically enough.
But yeah, so that right there was right in the happy zone. Fastball up and in. But anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, either way.
I hope they can get that turned around.
So we're gonna, before we get to West Michigan and Lakeland, and then we'll get to Summer Ball, I wanted to do something a little different because we haven't had a chance to do this, and I wanted to get everybody bored with this. And so we're gonna do a little bit. We're gonna play I think we're gonna. I don't know if this is a game or what we're gonna call this, but we're going to predict where the Tigers draft picks will end up landing. So let me see if I can find them. Music here, if I have some game show theme music. Maybe I don't. Oh yeah, I do. It's hold on, there we go.
There.
Yeah,
baseball.
Yeah, that way I don't get in trouble. All right, so I have the sheet made up. I even have the people slot values signed up as well. So anybody who's participating or in the YouTube chat want to participate on where they think they're going to go, let me know, and I will put your guests here. So let me put David's guesses here. Oops, there we go. Well, all right, David. All right. So we'll start. We'll start with Chase Young, first pick for the Tigers. Dave, you got the honors to go first. What do you think he ends up at?
Are we doing starting the year or finishing the year?
To start the year.
Start the year. Yeah, I know. When we were doing our draft show with Word Sports, you guys put this idea in my head, but honestly, I'm gonna concur with it. I'm gonna say, even if it's just for like a couple weeks, just to like see what he's got, I'm gonna say Lakeland. But like you mentioned, I could see him certainly with like the play discipline that Jung showed a little bit from what I noticed. It's like I know it looked a little bit shaky in some games, but at the end of the day, I could also see him in West Michigan at the end of the year.
Okay. So wait. So so Lakeland to start his assignment, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Chris.
Yeah, I think, and we talked about this before. I feel like they won't want to move the infield in Lakeland around too much. So, Segura, Pacheco, Santana. So I do think he will eventually get up to West Michigan, and where he starts is just, to me, it's a formality. If it's in the complex league, just to get a couple at bats, or if it's in Lakeland, I think he will spend most of his season in West Michigan.
Okay. So you say West Michigan he'll start?
I think so. Well, I think he'll end up there and spend most of his season there.
Okay. West Michigan. All right. I also will go with West Michigan because of his advanced hitting skill set. And there's people reporting in the complex league right now as it stands. We saw pictures of Terry Newmar out there taking pictures, and a lot of the draft picks that everyone has signed except for the 20th round one, correct, Chris?
As far as I know, yeah, no sign of Drew Conover yet for some reason.
So he might be going back to school with that case.
And maybe, he transferred from Seton Hall to Rutgers, and he's been pitching pretty well in the Cape Cod League. So looks like, the West Michigan season goes through Sunday, September 11th. So we're looking at about 6 weeks left of the season.
Yeah, they may even. This is what sucks about this. Is the unfortunate part of having the draft in July. They don't have much of a season to work with, which is why people want to bring it back to June, because this is a really busy time of the year. Hopefully, they do bring it back to June. I think it makes more sense to have it in June versus July. I don't think it's stupid. All right, so we go to Peyton Graham. Chris, I'll let you lead off on that one.
I think Graham. I think they could find him in West Michigan, but I think there's a little bit more concern about his hit tool. I think so. It wouldn't shock me if he's just kind of in the complex league. Going back and forth between the complex league and the Flying Tigers. So I'll go with we'll go with the complex league, and he'll end in Lakeland.
David.
Dang, the one time I thought I was going to sound smart talking about Tigers prospects, because I was having the same thing Chris was saying. Is like, because I know watching the video on him a little bit, because it looked like in my opinion, looked like strikeouts and swing and misses were a little bit concerned, especially on breaking balls from righties. That's what I noticed. So it looked like he had a bit of a big swing, especially on, like outside breaking balls from right-handed pitching. So honestly, it's like I could stick him in the FCL just to like see what he's got, just see if he can prove himself. Because like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like they were saying he was supposed to be a first round talent a couple years ago, right? Like he had it in him, but just the hit tool wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been a very tooled up kid. It's just the question, like you nailed it. Like, can he see and hit breaking balls consistently? And I mean, that'll be the question in pro ball.
Yeah.
So you're gonna say complex then, right?
Yeah.
Essentially. Okay.
Yep.
All right. That is a good. I will also go with complex because I think there's the pitchers. I think we're gonna only go up to the 10th round. I think because after that, I think everybody's gonna go complex. But we'll go to the complex. And so Christopher in the YouTube chat says he thinks Lakeland for that. So Lakeland. All right, I'll go with. I'll put Lakeland down for that. So next up, the right-handed pitcher out of San Diego State, Freddie Melton. Okay, David, I'll let you go up with this one. Where do you think he ends up going first?
Honestly, it's like watching a little bit of video on him. It's like strike throwing looked like a little bit of an issue. It's like a lot of the breaking balls I saw. It's like, of course, you can. The idea is to put a breaking ball outside the zone, but of course, and the other thing was a lot of the video I saw was from from the stands behind the plate. So it's not, you can't really get a good perception of that. But like, yeah, I honestly, since he's a college guy, I'm gonna go West Michigan, just for the giggles.
All right,
and I'm gonna be bold with that one. But yeah, it's like mechanics look steady. It's like out of the stretch, it looked a little bit like you can use some development. But yeah, the mechanics looked okay, especially since he's a college guy. I would say West Michigan just to get a look.
Okay, Chris.
I don't think he pitches this year. He didn't throw a ton of innings this year, 65, but as far as I know, he hasn't been in any summer leagues. I didn't really check that, but his last outing was May 20th, so I don't think they'll ramp him up just for like a handful of outings. I think he'll probably be done. They'll send him to instructs or whatever, and then he'll be back and they'll work on him, in mini camps or whatever they do next spring training.
Okay, I will go with he will see maybe taste of complex league action. So I'll go complex. I'm going to stick with complex on that one. Maybe Lakeland, but he ends up maybe pitching the last couple weeks in Lakeland, perhaps. But now I just think he goes in the complex league just to see what they have all about. So
another thing is sorry to cut you off, Raj, but yeah, one other thing I noticed is I know we don't see it very often, but like from what I've seen, San Diego State with their pitchers, they develop them pretty hard though. That's what I've noticed.
Oh, according to Michael Mayer, he said there's an article today about that. So,
yeah, I missed it. Uh-oh, sneezing attack.
And Michael, if you have a article, if you have a link to that, it'd be fantastic. But yeah, if that's the case, yeah, I'm still stick with the complex league. Maybe he'll get a chance in Lakeland, but we shall see. But David, I like your pick though. Honestly, that's good because they do need relief pitching there. Next up is 5th round draft pick Luke Gold out of Boston College. Chris, you're up now.
Yeah, he's a guy that I thought Gold, Young, and Graham could all go to West Michigan. I think they're all advanced enough to make it happen. But I'm going to stick with Lakeland here. I think they'll probably just play it safe, have him close to the complex, have him work on what they want to do. He's a relatively advanced hitter. I think it's just kind of rocked up. Like it's like a weird muscular second baseman. So it's like there's not a whole lot of flexibility there, but he can hit. So I think he'll probably be in Lakeland, and there's a chance he could hit his way to West Michigan.
Okay, so Lakeland, David.
Yeah, I mean, watching him field some of his fielding highlights, it was I I don't know. He was essentially. I'm going to say he was just an adequate fielder for the college circuit. He looked a little bit clunky at third base. It's like honestly, I could see him as second baseman more than anything, because you saw it with I can't remember this MLB shortstop's name. It was like Cliff Pennington. I want to say it was back in the day. It's like he was supposed to be a shortstop, but
Yeah.
I think the arm was a little bit erratic, so they slid him to second. It's like he was essentially like a second baseman with a shortstop's arm. So that could play sometimes, and maybe a slide over to second could be good for Gold. So, but at the end of the day, my pick is going to be FCL. Just get some development on defense. It's like he'll be in the complex. You'll have the virtue and tools of the coaches down there. It's essentially the HQ for the Tigers that isn't Detroit. So yeah, it's just going to be good to see what he's got.
All right, I will go. So you said Lakeland, right? Essentially,
I said FCL.
FCL. Okay, sorry. I was reading the article that Michael sent over the link on and got sidetracked for a moment. So my apologies on that. For me, this is going to be. I think I'm gonna stick with. Oh well, Christopher says West Michigan. Yeah, all right. I like Christopher. He's also going big. Go home with that. So he thinks West Michigan. Let's see here. West Michigan for him. I am going to go with. I'm going to go complex league only because you don't want to. I think Pacheco being at Lakeland right now, playing third, and the rest of the infield, I think they want to keep that group together. So I'm going to stick with I'm boring. Well, I'll change it up at some point. Yeah. All right. So next up is Danny Soretti, shortstop out of North Carolina. Oh, well, Michael Myers says he's going to spend most of the time Gold in West Michigan. All right. I like this. I like the interaction here. This is nice. So, you know what, Michael? Screw it. I will go with you. I will go with you in West Michigan.
Michael's cheating, though. He has a cheat sheet.
Michael's got gold fever.
Well, Michael, to be fair, in the article, Lynn, I don't think he mentioned anything about gold. Let me see here. Scan reading.
Yeah, so that was Michael's making the point that we were kind of making earlier, where I think, as much as we enjoy watching Carlos Mendoza and Corey Joyce and Jake Holton, I don't think there's any real, and Jose King. I don't know if they're considered like priority prospects in the system. So I don't think the Tigers would feel bad about displacing those guys to bring in some draft picks. But it is high A. It'd probably be a little bit of a challenge for these guys. So, but even if they struggle, it's probably it's where they begin next year, I would think. So
yeah.
They struggle a little bit. It's like here's a taste of what you have to come. So.
All right, speed round for these last four, because everybody else, like I said, the rest of the draft picks we could be here all night for that. But let's do speed round real quick. Thanks already out of North Carolina, David.
Honestly, because Stratty's switch hitter, right? If my homework's correct.
Yeah.
I think he is. Yeah. I mean, switch hitters, it usually takes them a little bit more. They have to do twice as much as your normal hitter, essentially. So I'm not going to, as much as and the thing is, he's also a college guy. So I'm not going to say West Michigan, but I think he's a little bit too developed for the FCL. So I'm going to say Lakeland.
Yeah, Chris?
Complex. I think they're running out of spaces for these guys.
All right. I'm going to, okay, so Complex. We're at Complex. And you said Lakeland? Okay. I'm going to go, I'll go back to Complex. Stick it safe here. By the way, Christopher in the chat said he must throw darts. I'm throwing darts too. I mean, but also looking at to what extent Tiger history we do have. I mean, this is a different development squad. So
that's the one thing that's a little bit hard is like we don't know what their philosophy is in general about these guys. They want them to even face. Apparently, that they want them to get some action, but they've been kind of slow with a lot of promotions this year.
I was going to say, although I did get some intel about that, and I really think that there is just a matter. I think there's two schools of thought. There's the old school thought and the new school of thought with that. So, but that being said, we move on. Steph Stevenson out of Tennessee, who finally got to watch some video on him and what he's going to end up at. Chris, what do you think he's going to go?
No, I think he'll be in Lakeland. There's not a like. You got Campos out there and De La Cruz and Benitez, but I don't think that those guys aren't going to keep him from playing.
All right.
He could hit his way to West Michigan. But
David?
He reminds me of Jake Robson.
Yeah. I've seen that North Carolina, that's a pretty heavy baseball school, right? They're usually there.
It's already, but
Stevenson
was Tennessee.
Oh, no, Tennessee. I mean, yeah, Tennessee as well. Excuse me for reading one line down. Yeah, it's like I know Tennessee is also like one of the bigger baseball schools, and I know they also ride their guys pretty hard. So honestly, I'm gonna say West Michigan.
All right.
See it.
Like it, bold. I am going to go. I'm gonna go with Lakeland on this too, because the outfield situation right now. There's a lot of. I could use another outfielder out there, so I'm gonna go with Lakeland on that. All right. Jake Miller, lefty out of Valpo. David, where are you gonna think you end up at? Speed round.
I mean, unfortunately, my after Stevenson, my homework kind of stalled out, so I'm just gonna just to spit it out there. I'm gonna say Coast League.
Okay, FCL, Bucks League. Oops. Chris, what about you?
I'm checking to see how many innings he threw this year. That is 61 plus 20 in the summer league. I could see him going to Lakeland and pitching out of the bullpen, I guess. Like, 1-2 innings at a time. So that's what I'll go with.
All right. I will stick with. I'm gonna go. Well, I think West Michigan's got. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Lakeland on that because West Michigan right now has a plethora of left-handers right now. So, and then we got two more left. Andrew Jenkins, first baseman out of Georgia Tech. Oh, I like Christopher's answer. It's a complex league for that with Miller. Andrew Jenkins.
Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
That's Florida State League for me. No way. They have Justice Bigby there, but they've been playing them all over.
All right, David.
Yeah, I mean, he's a college guy. It's like actually, never mind. Actually, I think I saw some draft video of him on Twitter. It looks like a pretty developed hitter. So yeah, I'll stick him in Lakeland, or maybe hit his way to West Michigan.
Man, the one thing they keep saying about him is he's pretty athletic. He might be athletic enough to play other like third or even the outfield corner. So just a matter of where they need him.
All right, so Michael says Lakeland in the chat. I'm going to go Lakeland too. So this is unanimous. First one all night that we've been all in agreement on Lakeland. Yeah, you're right. They're
Erie.
Pardon me?
They sent him straight to Erie.
No, Lakeland's first baseman or the first base situation in Lakeland has been kind of a hodgepodge mix. And this is the one I think that we're all going to have a different opinion on for sure. And that is this is the last one of the night. Trevor Michael, right-hander out of Oklahoma, who's pitched pretty, I think 71 innings or something to that effect. Chris, where are you going to have him at?
I think that's another guy that I'm going to shut down.
Okay.
It'd be one thing if it was 70 innings and he was a starter. It's 70 innings as a reliever. He made 32 appearances this year. Maybe he can throw some more, but I generally think you don't want your relievers, even in pro ball, to throw more than like 60, 70 innings. So maybe he'll get a handful of one-inning outings in Lakeland, but I think he might just shut down.
David?
Was he a reliever? Or
yes, he was.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about relievers, especially in like the college circuit, is, and especially if you're an established reliever in the college circuit, is that you're going a lot. So you could be getting a lot of work in my opinion. So yeah, I'll say shut him down. It's like just don't burn him out.
I had to put it in the caps too, like shut it down. Oh well, you know what? I'm going to be the odd duck in the room here. I think he sees a few innings out of Lakeland, just a few, because he's an advanced college pitcher. I'm stick with Lakeland. So I was going to put West Michigan originally, but then I realized how many innings he's pitched. So Christopher is in agreement. 3 out of 4 have said, hey, "Oh, look at Mike! See, Mike Meyer was thinking the same thing I was. Like, I was thinking West Michigan because of the. But then again, I thought about the innings factor. But I like it. I like boldness. I like that. Shut it down.
Christophers need to stick together, by the way.
And let's see, Michael thinks West Michigan. All right.
You don't know. I think, I'm going to say he'll throw maybe 4 or 5 innings in FCL. I'm going to change my answer.
Okay.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, Mike, and that was the reason why Michael in YouTube chat he said he's almost 25. That's what I thought too. That was my big reason why I thought of West Michigan. He'd be one of the oldest relievers there.
Yeah, the only thing, it's just the innings for me. I think in terms of if he were healthy and starting the season, I would think he'd start in West Michigan and probably pitch his way to Erie by June. But I don't know. If they want him to be a reliever, then I don't think they're going to want to push his innings much more than what they already have.
Okay. So we did the first 10 picks because that's the rest of them, like I said, it can be those are really, really toss-ups. And quite frankly, we still have to go over West Michigan and Lakeland. And Lakeland was on TV, so we have a lot to work with Lakeland. So, but yeah, thank you. Pardon me?
I just said they were on the TV.
They're on TV. And at the same time, it was good to see because we didn't even go over the hitters in Erie, did we? No, we did not. Parker, we did go over Dingler, but Andre Lipsius has had a really good July. I want to mention him. Parker Meadows, again, it's what in terms of figuring out AA. I think he's coming in his own this month, and that bodes well because the Tigers still have to make a decision on him on Rule 5, and again, calling up the kids. Unfortunately, we can't talk too much about Winfield Perez because he's out with a back injury. He's been a back injury, a nagging one, and he's on the IL right now. But he's also been, it is a bummer that he's on the IL because he's been a fun watch. He's been growing as a hitter, and you love to see that. But as far as Parker Meadows goes, so in the month of July, he has batted .267 with 2 home runs, but he's got, in terms of in terms of walks, his walks are up. So he's got 8 walks and just 11 strikeouts, which is a positive sign. Not too much of a differential with that. So that's always good to see. And on the season, I mean, in terms of even adjusting to AA, you like to see that. And the other one, in terms of Andre Lipsius, also, the thing about Lipsius and Dave Myers is that Dave Myers, when he hits a home run, I mean, he gets a hold of it. It's just like a blast. And you want to, whether he's going to be Oregon or I don't know, but either way, Andre Lipsius, who everybody knows my prospect love for him, he's had a pretty good July as well. So I don't know what you guys think about those guys, but comment. So.
No, I mean, I've seen it's been a nice core group there. I think, we don't mention Quincy Naporti as a prospect, but I think he leads the Eastern League in RBIs, or at least he's close to it. And they've got a nice mix of kind of prospects making. You mentioned Winslow Perez. He's been improving basically every month this year, putting himself back on the prospect map. Parker Meadows did the same thing. He hit his way out of West Michigan really quickly and then struggled for a good 3-4 weeks, but he hit 300 in June, and I think it's an OPS of 800 or so in July. So, I mean, that's a viable guy on your 40-man roster if you can play center field, and he can. So, we've seen some progress there. And, Dane Myers is a nice OR guy. Andrew Navigato is a really nice OR guy who's super versatile. It's a well-constructed roster right now, at least offensively speaking. So, there's a reason that they're like a game out of first place, right? They play pretty well most times. And even, Daniel Cabrera is showing some signs of life in his second trip back to Eastern League this year. and Gage Workman is continues to be up and down, but when he's on, he's an impact player. So that it helps. We saw what he steal like 4 or 5 bases this week.
Yeah, he has 3. Gage Workman had 3 stolen bases yesterday in one game alone.
And I think he stole another one today. But so yeah, it's a nice offense there. Even they'll miss Perez, I think, if he's out for any extended amount of time. But they're doing okay.
Yeah, they have a gentleman. I'm trying to think of the guy who's been playing for him right now. That was kind of a veteran.
Carpio?
No, not Carpio. They just Michael De La Cruz.
Yeah. The catcher, right?
Yeah, he's a catcher. Yeah, but I was just saying that one of the new names that's come up there for the Seawolves. But yeah, offensively speaking, Erie's been firing all cylinders, and so. But yeah, this was a good pull by you, David. Yeah, Winfield Perez with the OPS of over 1,000 with 5 doubles, 2 triples, 3 home runs, and 9 walks to 6 strikeouts. Hey, that will do. That will do very well. So, because considering where he was last year at this point. So we go to West Michigan. West Michigan tied the series with Dayton 3 games apiece. And the pitching lines for this week, we saw Joey Wentz pitch yesterday in rehab, start 2 innings, 1 run, 3 strikeouts, and he was trying to figure out his breaking ball a little bit. Brant Hurdler, who's been we haven't really talked about him recently on West Michigan. He pitched in relief yesterday, 5 innings. He allowed, I believe, 7 hits, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. But his numbers, he continues to rise up on the prospect board. He'll be pretty high on ours. We have ours all figured out. We just have to release it with the information. Aaron Haas from Lakeland made his debut yesterday. I think it was today, I believe. And Trevor Hoof's got some video for him. You can find that on Twitter. And Ty Madden, 5 innings, no runs, 4 walks, and 2 strikeouts. At some point, he's going to have to be. I think in the next couple weeks. I said this earlier in the month. I was wrong, because they didn't have any room for him. But they really want Madden at AA. They just don't have the room for him right now.
Yeah, you always have to either send somebody down or release somebody, and you don't always have somebody you want to get rid of, right? So he's just kind of biding his time there in West Michigan. I think Herder just kind of pitches well whenever they put him out there. It's kind of wild, and yeah, I thought it was fun to just highlight Haas, because Haas had a nice 3 strikeout inning down in Lakeland earlier, and he's an interesting pitcher because it's like he'll top out at 92 miles an hour with his fastball, and he's 5'9", like 190 pounds. He's kind of like thick, but he's got a really nice breaking ball, and he can manipulate the speed and the shape of it. And I don't know how far he'll go with that breaking ball, but it's kind of fun to watch at times.
Dave, what's your thoughts about West Michigan for the week?
Yeah, I mean, I know I've been kind of high on this dude since we got him, but I know that he may not be the most looked on prospect in the system. But yeah, in terms of pitching, I really liked what I saw from Jack O'Loughlin in his start. So I know it was a short one. It's like I'm sure it was just there might have been some sort of string attached to it, but yeah, it's like I know it wasn't really anything noteworthy to put in the outline, but like yeah, the Australian lefty. It's like I always liked what I saw from him, and yeah, it's like he's throwing strikes, only 1 walk in 3 innings. It's like I know it was only 3 innings, but still, it's just like it's nice to see a guy like that putting some solid work together.
Yeah, I'm a fan of his. I'm a fan of his too, and I think that he's been able to kind of offer a different look than Hurdler in terms of just his delivery, and he's a guy that you could see maybe in a back end rotation or out of relief, but maybe as far as relief go, long relief, I'm not sure, but either way, I know he's been here since he's still is he still just like 21? Is that it? I mean, I feel like he's still very young.
Yeah, I don't know if he's 21, 22. I think he was part of the same international class as Adenso Reyes and was it De La Cruz? Maybe it was a year before that, but yeah, he's not that old. He's just been he's 22 now.
Okay. So one of the questions I want to ask you guys before we get to Lakeland and the Complex League to end the podcast is Josh Crouch, who he got hit by a pitch. We're all Chris was texting me. He was like, oh man, I don't know. Hope he's not out. And he came back, and I like in the notes David put hit by a pitch, comma, angry, and shows what kind of competitor he was. But yeah, he had a double, a home run, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Very good eye at the plate. Chris, go ahead and just give some crotch love.
You say crotch or crouch?
Crotch love.
No, we talked about it many times, man. He got so today he was facing Chase Petty, who was remember was first rounder with the Twins last year. They traded him to Cincinnati for I forgot.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah.
He was for a pitcher.
Sonny Gray.
No,
Yeah.
Sonny Gray. Yeah, that'll do it. Not hurt. And because he was a first rounder and he's got a huge arm, he was like getting 101 in high school, and he's got 2 quality secondary pitches. And Crouch was not bothered by his fastball whatsoever. He almost hit a home run to the opposite field. There was a sac fly. His next at bat, he hit a double, yanked a double down the left field line. He's just got really quick short swing and enough power to make a short swing like that work, at least to hit for average game power. And he seems to recognize pitches well, and he works counts. There's not a whole lot to complain about there. I'd like to see it at higher levels just so I feel better about it, but I feel like he's at least a MLB backup. I mean, we've been talking about him for a couple months now. Like I said, the only thing you notice is he's pretty slow, but he's a catcher, and that's what happens, right? So, he's going to hit into some double plays, and he's going to, get thrown out at first on infield dribblers. But other than that, I like a lot about his game.
David, what stands out? You saw him at West Michigan. You were with us on a trip. David accompanied us a couple of weeks ago. What did you think of Crouch?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I noticed like the hit tool is definitely there. It's like, but the one thing I noticed, and like we heard that from the scout as well, that mentioned that he couldn't really see him as a professional baseball catcher. But yeah, it's like watching all the catchers always have their pre-inning throw down to second. Yeah, it's just like that's the one thing I was impressed about. It's like watching the pop time from him, and like just it just throws an absolute clothesline down to second. It's like I just really like the glove to hand work that he has behind the plate. It's just it's like I know we've been praising his bat for the most part this minor league season, but yeah, it's like I've just really enjoyed watching him play defense.
Yeah, his pop time was pretty impressive. I mean, you guys were both like.
To clarify, the scout was saying that he had seen Crouch in college and said he didn't think there was any way he was a professional catcher. And then he's seen him 2-3 years later, and he was basically saying like, I actually think he's a good defensive catcher now, which is wild. I never would have expected it. So yeah, it's David like offense, defense. It looks like kind of the total package. I'm kind of just hedging my bets by saying MLB backup because he hasn't been a Double-A yet. We don't know, but I would take that out of an 11th rounder for sure. Kirk Casale, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the longer he stays under the radar, the better though. Because like I feel like as soon as he gets found out, it's like as soon as people start seeing him on like the top 30 boards, people are gonna be like, oh wait, this guy's really good. We should call him up to AAA right away and just push him right off the ledge, sink or swim. But like, it's like
fans are gonna say that
no
matter what. Just like
stay. Yeah, it's like as long as he just stays the course and just like continues his development path the way it is, it's like, yeah, Chris, you're definitely right. He could be the type that you see in a couple of years that people are gonna be like, where'd this guy come from? It's like who in the H is Josh Crouch?
Yeah,
you're gonna ride that train because we're gonna put him pretty high on our prospect board list, but I'm not telling you where. But just expect that. So let's move down quickly to Lakeland. The Flying Tigers got outscored 42-30 as they lost the series to Bremerton. Again, I mentioned earlier, this is the last time you'll see the Flying Tigers on TV for the season. as they do not play Port Lucie or St. Lucie, which is the other team that usually broadcasts. That's it. Bradenton and St. Lucie. That's it. Again, I'm not sure when that will happen for the Tigers. I don't think it will anytime soon. That's just my opinion. But either way, Jackson Jobe set a career high with 7 strikeouts. His slider was wiffle ball, like we mentioned on the podcast on Thursday, and that was really so. Dylan Smith, the rehab start yesterday, 2 innings, no runs, 2 strikeouts, looked pretty good. Angel Reyes, who's been at West Michigan, had 3 innings, 1 run, and struck out 5, but he was hitting 95, 96, and I was like, nah, no way. So I checked Baseball Savant. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. He was been 92, 91 at West Michigan, right?
I don't even remember, but yeah, we've seen him there for a couple of years, right? And
yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, but he's normally just pitching out of relief, so yeah, he may have got a velo bump. That he's been in the system for a while, so maybe there's something they like about him.
But I'm just saying because I never remember him throwing that hard at West Michigan. Like when I was seeing the numbers, I just was kind of stunned because I remember it was like 91, 92 tops when he was with the Whitecaps. So I'll talk to Hasty about that. Cam Brown, the local kid out of Central Michigan, also we saw him pitch. I like this note by David in the notes. Marco Jimenez gives me the stat line and then goes, quote, "The stuff is annoying." So why is this stuff annoying, David?
Well, that was a me comment.
Oh, all right. Okay.
This is the guy I wanted to talk about because Marco Jimenez. Have you heard of him?
Out just once. We talked about him earlier in the year, I believe, too.
I think we did. He was 95, 97, touching 99 with ease, just firing missiles. I was like, who the hell is this kid? And he pitched in Connecticut and then blew out his arm. So that's how long he's been gone. Basically, this is his. I think he pitched a little bit last year, but yeah. So he it's just a huge arm from this kid, and it looks free and easy. And he's got a usable breaking ball. Like every now and then it'll flash average, and then and he's got a changeup too that I saw a couple times. But it's 20 grade command. He has no idea where anything's going. It's such a frustrating thing because his mechanics don't look all that bad to me, but he could not locate anything, and he gave up I think 4 walks in hard contact when he left things elevated. You see he's a short, stocky kid. He's kind of reminiscent of like the Melvin Mercedes of the world.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah, the early comp.
But like, it's not like a violent delivery, right? It's just kind of he's just kind of stocky.
It just almost like he stops and just.
And but yeah, like he's up to 99, and you're like, oh, come on, man, learn how to throw strikes. But yeah, I don't know if it'll ever be anything. This is kind of like a classic low A arm. Like 12, 13 years ago, there was a kid named Ramon LeBron who would throw 100, but couldn't throw strikes, and that was as far as he got. So anyway, that's just why I wanted to bring him up.
That was a good time to bring up, and I saw the film on him too. I remember seeing something on Twitter before. Yeah, it was I think Kyle Peterson from Perfect Game had that up. So before we move on real quick, Walter had a good question that well, here's the thing. Walter in the YouTube chat, am I too much of a homer to think we're not a total lost cause like most on Woodward Sports? Starting pitching this year has been a mess, but I believe in Feder and what he has done with some of our guys so far. Well, as the most voice of reason. See, the thing is, since I started Woodward Sports, you get kind of associated with that. And some people who know me, as long as they know me or I've done this, know pretty well I keep it honest as possible without having a hot take. If I have a hot take, you guys can call me out all day, and that's fine. I'd rather be objective. I've been steadfast in saying this since day one about the Tiger season. They didn't have enough depth. They needed some more offense. They needed some more pitching. This year has been one of the strangest years in baseball that Tigers baseball I can ever recall. I cannot explain to you the injuries. I cannot explain Javi Baez suddenly having the yips a little bit. Well, a little bit because that's the guy he really is. But as I think there was too much expectations on Spencer Torkelson to get started the season right away. I think it's unfair to him. There's a lot of things. And Avila saying the rebuild was over didn't help, and that just gives. If you give any excuse to the fans to get mad, they will take advantage of it. And I think the Tigers, we got to really look at their depth right now. But I think there's two schools of thought that is going on in Detroit with that. I personally think that they're going to need another year or two before they're even contention right now. I think there's pieces there. There's the pitching developments there. There's a lot of things you can like with Chris Fetter and across the board with Gabe Rivas as well. And Ryan Garco's done a really good job. And talking to some analytics with people, they've done a very good job of addressing those things, but they still have some ways to go. But I'm not going the hashtag that I'm not going to mention because it is just a hashtag, and I just got to be rational about the whole thing. But yeah, Walter, unfortunately, like I said, Adam is his own person. Everybody else, same thing. But I just try to steer the ship as much as I can through logic as possible. So I do get mad. I get frustrated, and everybody should. So, but I just want to address that question before we move on. Unless you guys have something to say.
I think the part that where it's hard not to feel like it's a lost cause to me is just the offense, right? It's this offense is just as bad as it was in 2019. Like the WRC plus is 77, and 2019 it's 78 this year. Before today, maybe it's 77 again. And it's just hard to figure out where they're going to get any offense from in the future. Like, they still have scope for next year. They could still have Candelario next year, but they're Green and Torque were supposed to be the anchors of the team, right? And Torkelson has fallen flat, and Green is fine, but he's a rookie. He's going through his rookie struggles, right? He's going to be up and down a little bit. I think he'll be fine in the future, but we joke about it, but they need like 6 extra bats before they can even contend. And I just don't know where the hell any of that is going to come from. And Javi Baez has been a cipher on offense this year too. Well, he hit a home run today, right? But
right.
I feel like he's walking more and striking out less than he has just about any point in his career. It's not like super high numbers or like crazy, but he's not hitting for any power other than he hit the home run today. But so yeah, his strikeout rate is at like a career low, 23.8% this year, career low. Walk rate 4.7 coming in today, so right about average. But he's hitting 220. His batting average on balls in play is 265, which was the last time it was this low was in 2020 when he had a terrible year. The rest of his career has been 330. So I don't know what's going on. So it's just hard. Like, I don't know if there's a switch that somehow they can flip and make things go back to the way they were supposed to be. But it's impossible for me right now to picture where the offense is.
Yeah.
Like yourself. But we need to see that for like a month before we really feel like he's back, right? So it's just tough.
All right, David, what about you before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. So like you said, Chris, it's just tough to look at the hitting depth right now. It's like, especially seeing it with like scope as well. It's like, I think we're rushing this thing a little bit, especially after like last season. I don't know if you remember the hot streak that Scope had, and like he hit a 2-week hitting tirade, hit himself into a two-year contract extension. I'm pretty sure I was the only one that thought that was like the most rushed thing ever. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. I think I think the front office for a little spurt was just so desperate to get this thing moving that they were just like, yep, tell everybody that's done. It's like our stretch of having a over 500 month for all the months except April last season, or is what's going to make this push this thing through. But yeah, no, it's like, if anything, this upsets me more than 2015 is like, 2015. It's like, we kind of knew it was going to fall flat a little bit, but yeah, with this one, it's a bummer. I have a lot of things to say, but I'm going to keep it short.
All right. But yeah, Walter, thank you for the question. That was a good question. As I said, we talked about the pitching. What about the hitting down in Lakeland? Roberto Campos, he came in game 1 with double and RBI. 4 for 18 this week was Isaac Pacheco, who I thought played pretty good third base. There was a couple plays he made some good strong throws to see there. Christian Santana has had a good month. He's now his OPS 824 in the month of July. He also had a 2-hit game with the home run in the 5th game of the series. And Eduardo Valencia, who had a really nice double yesterday. He had a 3-hit game, drove in 3. And he was playing some first base. He's been normally catching, so that was good to see. And it kind of shows the kind of depth right now the Tigers have in their system catcher-wise. So Michael's just got to what I was going to talk about, and I'll let Chris talk about the. I do want to, though. I do want to celebrate. I do want to celebrate this.
Yes!
That's a shout out to that David put in the notes. Rainer Castillo gets his first win in United States soil on the complex league side. 5 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. So a cousin from another mother. No, I'm just I have no relation to the man. It just has a cool last name. Just like Max Castillo of the Blue Jays. So I'll let you guys take over with Complex League and DSL action. Raylan Perez. Chris, who is Raylan Perez?
I don't really know. He was not one of their bigger name international signings this last year. They tweeted about him, switch hitting shortstop out of Dominican, I believe. But he's been a monster in the DSL this year. Like you said, we don't have any scouting reports on him. We don't have any video on him really, other than every now and then you can see like a minute long hype video from his Buscone. But yeah, this week 8 for 19 with a double, 3 homers, 10 RBIs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. He's got a 1.099 OPS, which is the 5th best in the DSL, and the 4 guys above him are not shortstops. So I don't know. It's all based on stats, and stats in the DSL are essentially meaningless. But at least it's something to grasp onto. Maybe the Tigers finally did it. Maybe they finally got some random dude who actually blew up after they signed him. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, he's been that would be nice to see. That would be nice to have a surprise like that. But Raylan.
Well, it's just funny. I hate to do it the other way around though, because Javier Osorio was the guy that they spent $0.2 million on, right? He was the next Christian Santana, and at one point last week he had gone 11 straight at bats with a strikeout, 11 straight swinging strikeouts. His OPS is under 600 in the DSL. And that's not what you want to see. Again, stats are kind of meaningless, but he's looking very much like a 2-year DSL player, which is, again, not what you want to see from your huge ticket signing in the international market. So maybe Raylan Perez was the secret, and they had to get him. They had to pay Osorio, or maybe none of it matters. We'll find out.
Yeah. Well, the Yankees, for example, the Yankees have had better luck with some of their lower money signings than they have their higher money signings, correct?
A lot of guys, like Tatis was $100,000, Acuna was $150,000. A lot of these guys who ended up blowing up were not, because they make these deals with them 2 years before they actually sign. So a lot of things can change in those 2 years. But again, we have no scouting, we have no anything on this kid. So it might just be that he is just the world's best DSL player and won't be able to hit anything at any other level. But I thought he was fun to keep track. And they have a couple other. Jason Sanchez is another guy performing pretty well down there. I think it's an 850 OPS, left-handed hitting third baseman. And then they've got Josue Braceno, who is 6'4", 200-pound catcher. That's another catcher. Probably another Valencia down the road where it's like a big old boy, man in first base in the future. But I don't know, just some names that are interesting. But again, we can't really stress this enough. Those stats are essentially meaningless. You're talking about basically high school level baseball with guys with professional tools. And so even watching Low A this week was just torturous at times. There was, we mentioned Pacheco. Pacheco had 2 straight games where he committed obstruction by running into the base runner during a rundown. 2 consecutive games he did that. Just oh man. And
I know they played good defense, but
it's all about consistency, right? These guys know what to do. It becomes like muscle memory with everything. By 5 years of doing professional infield practice every day, you turn into a pretty good defender. But in the first year or two, it's not gonna stick just quite yet. But yeah, and there was the other game with Bradenton where I want to say, what was it? Yeah, Lakeland was down 9-3, and I think they scored 6 runs with 2 outs, and it was just a cavalcade of. I think there were 4 errors in 1 inning. It was it's not pretty baseball down there. So again, the stats are sometimes misleading, but there are certain things that I think point to positive signs. One of them is walking a lot. Even, that's not always trustworthy. Maybe a guy is walking because he can't see breaking balls, and pitchers can't throw breaking balls for strikes. But it's something. And I think extremely negative performance, unfortunately, is telling. So if a guy's slugging, hitting 200 in the DSL with no walks and no power, that's probably not a great sign.
Yeah, if you have no walk rates, anything positive on the walk side of things, that is a bad sign. If it doesn't change, the guy is who they are. I mean, I can't say that. Some things can change. You can cut down your strikeouts. So it really depends. But
yeah.
David, do you want to add anything before we get out of here?
I mean, yeah, I looked at the names on the complex sheet. Here it's like the one thing that stuck out for me was Adinso Reyes. Is like, yeah, it's Chris, you put in the notes here. It's like that was a big signing 4 years ago, and I'm like, I thought to myself, I'm like, wow, that's 4 years ago. It's like I was surprised that I thought he would be a little bit higher by now, but yeah, it's good to see he's producing. It's like I can't really remember the scouting report very well offhand, but like, was he supposed to be a little bit higher by now? I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. He was considered the better hitter. He and Jose De La Cruz were the two big signings that year, and he was considered the more like polished hitter. De La Cruz was more of a powerful guy who was going to swing at everything, and then Reyes, he was in the complex league last year and struggled like crazy. And I want to say that did they send him down? I just remember.
Yeah, I thought they sent him down after he just couldn't.
Yeah, I think he started in low A and they sent him down. Or I don't know exactly what happened, but yeah. So it's been a slow boil there, and I think he might even be Rule 5 eligible. Yes, he is. He's Rule 5 eligible and not out of the complex league. But that's what happens. I'm not expecting a whole lot from him, but you never know. As we said, with guys in the development path, sometimes they just he needs to see 2,000 professional breaking balls before he can actually hit them, and then he figures out how to do it. I don't know. That's
true. He did. Yeah, I forgot about that. He did get COVID. I did remember that now. Michael says that, but we'll see. Hopefully, he bounces back and provides worth. All right, folks. So we give you an hour and a half worth of prospect coverage. We're going to have our top 25 dropping this week. Everything's all set with the 25 has been done. So now we got to do the profile part of it. So that will be up on our website, tigersmlreport.com. And David's written some stuff too that will be coming out with our top 25. So we're looking forward to sharing that. And yeah, so again, thank you for everybody for participating in YouTube tonight. And thanks for everybody who's followed the channel. And I know I'm flashing the Patreon down below, patreon.com/tigersmlreport. If you want to give us a few bucks a month just to keep out the content rolling, it just goes a long way. We don't get paid we don't get paid at all for doing this stuff. And we like doing it because we like the fans and like the interactions. So I got an article over at woodwardsports.com about the trade deadline and a couple guys that I think if Toronto decides to be a trade partner, who I think the Tigers are fitted. I don't try the freedom of not working at Motor City Bengals anymore. No offense, Chris. I don't have to come up with some pie in the sky trade proposal that is. I always try to come up with realistic ones, and you do a really good job with that. So try to keep in line with what you do. So the ones that are outrageous, I can't do it.
Well, I wouldn't have. I didn't put I had. That doesn't matter. I had the Tigers, possibly trading Skubal to Seattle for a package that I think ended up being less than Seattle actually gave up for Castillo. Now I thought he was a better pitcher than Skubal, but he has less team control. So
that was a good article. That was again in line with that. I mean, but either way, just keeping. I was thinking about even doing one about the Mets system right now, but I have some notes. But we'll see. We'll have time. We'll have time for it. But anyway, thanks everybody for participating. Thanks for everybody for listening and watching. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good week, everybody.